Okay, so today I wanted to talk to you guys about my favorite lenses that I use for my Sony A7C. This is a full frame camera that I really like, but there are different lenses, and that's pretty much why you get yourself a mirrorless camera, so you can exchange lenses and use them for different purposes. Today I wanted to share with you my top 5 lenses that I basically can't live without. Slight exaggeration, I know, but that's the way we YouTubers like to do it, right? So let's do this.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job.
So I wanted to just mention one small thing about lenses in general. There's these very expensive Sony GM lenses, and I've tested one or two of them, and yes, they are quite remarkable, but for the price that you pay, I just don't think it really motivates that high price tag. Like if you want the absolute best and you're like super rich, like a crypto millionaire or something like that, then yeah, you can probably get the best, but you're not gonna notice that much difference. Now, using native lenses, you know, obviously Sony lenses work the best with Sony cameras, but I think that if you get yourself something like a Tamron or a Samyang, you can get a lot of value for your money. And we're talking about a lot of money for most people at least. To get a good lens, you have to pay at least something like $500 to $700, and full frame cameras are expensive, man. That's just the way it is. And so personally, I like to get really good deals. I like lenses that deliver a lot for the price you pay for it. And it just feels like if you have a lens that costs something like $2,000, it's just never gonna deliver on that high price tag, no matter how good it is. You know what I mean? So what do I use my camera for? I mainly use it for this YouTube channel. I film stock footage that I sell, and I take lots and lots of photos that I also sell, but I sort of focus more towards video, okay? But I also find it a lot of fun to just film and take pictures and just try different things like time lapses, landscape photos, portrait photos. Sometimes I'll do wedding photography just for the fun of it, basically. Everything that's connected to a camera I just really adore, and so that's why I do it. So this collection of lenses that I'm going to present to you is like a toolkit. It's what I use for different types of shots that I need. You know, for me, a lens is just that. It's a tool to get the image that I want. Now, do I believe that you can make do with just one lens? Absolutely. If you just use your camera for one specific thing. Now, you do have zoom lenses, and they're very versatile, but if you want that extra crispy low light performance, you're gonna have to step it up to fast prime lenses. I'm talking f1.4. And I think that for a Sony camera like this one, the Sony A7C, f1.8 is more than sufficient for most people. There isn't an awful lot of difference between f1.4 and f1.8. For Micro Four Thirds cameras, like that's when you start to notice that you need even faster lenses, because the low light performance on Micro Four Thirds cameras is not very good. Okay, enough chit chat, let's do this thing. Hey, welcome to my channel. And so in today's video, I'm gonna talk about my favorite lenses, what I use them for, and why I prefer them. These are in no particular order, by the way, but if we're gonna start off with the one that I use the most, it would be this one. This is the Samyang 35mm f1.4, and I use this lens for most of my videos here on YouTube because it's got just the right distance between me and the background and the camera in front of me, so it just works perfectly in my studio. So that's why I like to use it. It's very sharp. You get very nice soft bokeh, you know, the background blur, and I just adore this lens a lot. It's kind of heavy, kind of big. It's not exactly a compact lens, but that's what you get when you have a full frame camera. I do think that you get a lot of value for the money. Now, Samyang lenses are sometimes getting a bad rep, and personally, I think they work just fine. There are some exemptions to the rule. There are some Samyang lenses that I do own that are not very good, but this one works great. I think that the autofocus works very good on the Sony A7C, so I really like this lens a lot. Now, the second lens I was going to talk about here is this one. This is the Tamron 28 to 75 f2.8, a pretty fast lens and very versatile. Now, this is a classic. Most people with a full frame Sony camera have the Tamron 28-75 because it's very versatile. You get a lot of value for it. I mean, let's face it, when we're talking about full frame lenses and cameras, you pay a lot of money. So you want to get really good deals. And I cannot think of a better deal than the Tamron 28-75. Very versatile. I use this mostly when I'm outdoors filming, when I don't want to have to switch between different lenses. And I prefer to do it in daytime, but that f2.8 together with the Sony full frame camera, it works pretty well even in low light situations. Now the third one on my list, this is a classic actually. This is pretty much the 50 nifty of the Sony full frame cameras. Now on the Canon side, there is the nifty 50mm f1.8, and this is the Sony version of it. Yeah, it's Sony. 50mm 1.8. It's very lightweight, it's very small, and it's very cheap. It's kind of plasticky, but I kind of like that because if it breaks, you're not gonna cry, and it's very easy to replace. So this is a very good lens that I recommend for people who just start out with Sony full frame cameras. This is the first lens that I actually bought, and it really delivers. It's very sharp. I like the background blur, and 50mm is a very good range if you really think about it. So I really recommend this lens a lot. And then we have another Samyang. This is the Samyang 24mm f1.8, and it's reasonably small. I had an even smaller one called the Samyang 24mm f2.8. It was smaller, but you didn't really get that nice background blur that you get with this lens. Now I use this mostly for vlogging. It works great when you're holding it handheld, and also indoors when I just want to sit at the table and just vlog with the camera, I can just set it up. This one is a very good lens for that purpose. The autofocus works very well. Again, I know it's a Samyang. I think you get a lot of value for the money you spend on it, and the image is pretty sharp. Now it's not a very wide angle lens, but this is my widest lens that I use. I could use something like a 16 or a 20. I really don't need that. There are no situations where I feel I need to have like a very wide image, and so 24 is the sweet spot for me. It makes my face look good, and I feel I can do landscape photography and all sorts of things with this lens. Very lightweight, very light this thing. And I got to say, I really like the red rings on the Samyang lenses. Finally, I wanted to show you my latest addition, a lens that I recently got actually. This is the Samyang 85mm f1.4, and this is a big one. It's kind of heavy, about a half a kilogram, but it's super sharp and it's very fast. And for low light photography, for portraits, this one is beautiful to use. Now, the only criticism I can say, a part of it being like gigantic and like really makes my camera feel very small, is that it doesn't autofocus that well when you're in video mode, but for photos it just works beautifully. Now if we're talking about autofocus in video mode, it's not like it just doesn't work. It works fine, but in certain situations when you're sort of moving your camera to different focus spots, it can get a bit confused. That's pretty much the only downside, but I think it's very valuable for the price you pay for this thing, and so I really like this lens a lot. Now, I would be really curious to know, if you have a full frame Sony camera, what lenses do you use? What is missing in my collection here? Am I missing out on something? Please let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to see more videos like this, I have more videos coming up this year, so don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you see my future videos. Okay, that's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah.